Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian. Welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. We'll give you guys a fresh perspective on things, and we see them in the day. We have a hell of a show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, this is a very interesting one. This morning I woke up and I saw the data from the NBA Christmas Day games. And apparently the NBA had a very strong outing. I think the game between the Lakers and the Warriors generated about 7.7 million viewers. So it was a very strong performance for the NBA that night, especially as it pertains to those Christmas Day games. LeBron made the comments, we own the NFL or whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. Christmas Day belongs to the NBA. He must have been a prophet there because he knew that he must have known the numbers or something, because the numbers are really good. Obviously, the NFL did what it did. I think the game pulled in 27 million people. But anyway, it was a very, very big game. Nevertheless, a lot of people tuned in to see that. And the game was carried by ESPN. Right, ESPN carried it. We actually did a video yesterday reacting to some comments that was made during that halftime show, or the various halftime shows between the games between the Knicks, Spurs, Phoenix Suns, I think the Nuggets, of course the Lakers, and the Golden State Warriors, and I forgot the other teams that played as well. So there was a lot of coverage, but people were pretty upset with the halftime coverage from the ESPN crew and ESPN in general, which featured Malik Andrews, Stephen A. Smith, and Kendrick Perkins. So this morning, I was actually combing through the internet, and I came across an article from the website Awful Announcing. And it has the following headline. It says, ESPN Christmas Showcase shows just how badly the network needs inside the NBA. A fantastic day of NBA hoops on ESPN devolved into debates, slandering players, and far too little real basketball talk. And I was like, this is pretty interesting. So I read the article, and they started to allude to the fact of why the NBA, why ESPN is in desperate need of inside the NBA, who do an absolute fantastic job covering these live games with the halftime analysis. So let's get into what this article had to say. It says, during the ESPN studio show on NBA Christmas Day is one of the longest marathons in sports broadcasting. Pre-game starts at 11 a.m. and the show goes until halftime of the fifth game around 11:30 p.m. This year, ESPN's crew, Malik Andrews, Stephen A. Smith, and Kendrick Perkins, held it down throughout the holiday with guest appearances from Shams and Bob Myers. Yet, even knowing how draining 12 hours on live TV can be, and by the inconsistent standards of ESPN's NBA studio show, this year's Christmas coverage was a drag. It was a stark reminder of ESPN's failure to develop a coherent NBA product, as well as the perfect advertisement for why the networks paid up to license inside the NBA from TNT starting next year. Continues on. One would hope Smith would be the freshest and most knowledgeable about the opening game between the Knicks and the visiting San Antonio Spurs in Madison Square Garden. While ESPN did an admirable job hyping up Victor Wembanyama's breakout Christmas performance, Smith resorted to teasing when asked about how New York could stop the Spurs' alien center. Karl Anthony Towns, go out there and be more formidable your damn self, Smith demanded of the Knicks center doing something. Now, what we want to do, we want to play you some of the sound from the various segments that they did that people were complaining about. We'll continue reading on with this article. Take a listen to some of the sound here.
But it's about the greats. It is about Steph and LeBron. LeBron had 31 and 10. Steph Curry had 38 points. Oh. And look at this. Most 30-point career games. LeBron James just one shy of tying your GOAT, Stephen A. Michael Jordan.
LeBron James is phenomenal. He's great. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He's not Michael Jordan. LeBron James in his 22nd season. Michael Jordan played 15.
It's just one stat.
Why are we doing?
Stat
the other day I brought up the buzzer beaters. Look, Michael Jordan outscored him 9-7 in buzzer beating game winners. But guess what? LeBron has played 7 more years. Can we stop?
We can for now. We can. It's just a stat. It wasn't meant to attack you personally. But let's talk about a little bit more greatness.
Attacking Michael Jordan.
Let's talk about Christmas Day greatness. Yes. How about we do that, Kendrick Perkins? Is there a single player or performance that impressed you the most today?
That's the question for the Sixers. But this is a big. If they win this game, they're healthy. They're playing against a mostly healthy Celtics team. That could be the start of something. But again, can we see 20 games with a healthy Embiid? Can we see 15? Can we see a series of games? That's the question.
And we do need to see Embiid. He's the second best player on this Philadelphia team. This team
Second
belongs,
best?
Whoa, what are you talking about?
This team belongs to Tyrese Maxey. Look, Joel Embiid, he's basically playing still on one leg, but he still could go out there and give you 20 and 10 a night. But Tyrese Maxey is the reason that this Sixers team go. The way that he's pushing the pace and not only getting his, but making guys around him better.
No surprise there, you're wrong. He's not the best player on the team. It's Joel Embiid. It's just that he's never healthy enough to be there consistently enough. So he might be more valuable from the standpoint that he's more available. But that's about it. I love Tyrese Maxey, but he ain't no Joel Embiid. This is what we're looking at when we think about the Sixers. We're saying Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey in the lineup. Is this what they can be? We can't even bring up a conversation like that until they show us the ability to be on the court for a few games together.
And you're right. And they're showing
last but not least, be careful about my opinion. He just showed up to work. He just showed up to work, yo.
Time out.
I was going to say something interesting.
Go ahead, say it.
When I talk to big guys around the league, the one guy they say they can't handle, that guy, Joel Embiid.
You're right.
Number one in the league.
Well, it's not that many big guys around the league. That's number one. Number two, let me say this. Didn't Joel Embiid tell Tyrese Maxey? Basically,
he nicknamed him the franchise.
I don't care what he nicknamed him.
And
come on.
availability is amazing.
Just because Joel Embiid said it don't make it so.
Who was we talking about the most last year in the postseason?
Because he was
Joel
healthy.
Embiid or Tyrese Maxey?
Beyonce
He averaged
coming
over
out.
30 on
Let's
one
not
leg.
argue today. And
Go
speaking
ask
of big
Nick
men,
Saban
though,
what Tyrese Maxey did in the guard.
Anthony
Bob. He's
Davis,
at work now.
he had 40 points last season on Christmas. What does he have in store in our primetime game? Lakers, Warriors. That's after this. From him. So, Stephen A., I'm just going to put it to you simply. This first half from Victor Wembanyama was blank.
Sensational. Obviously, 4-10 from three-point range, 9 of 18 from the field, 24-11 with 2 blocks, a formidable presence on both ends of the court. I'm very impressed with him. His second-year player, 7'5" with that range. Look at that. This guy is something else. That's 40% shooting from three-point range. But it doesn't mean that I'm not ticked off, Malika. I'm really sick and tired. I'm really sick and tired of these visitors coming to Madison Square Garden, using it as the big stage for themselves instead of a Knick using it as a big stage. Now, Karl Anthony Towns, you're not. It's not shrinkage here. You're not 6 feet tall. Go out there and be more formidable your damn self. Do something. Don't leave it up to the Wemby show. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
It continues on. It then says, later, after Myers joined the table, ESPN handed its halftime show the keys to breaking down a fascinating upset road win by the Philadelphia 76ers over the Boston Celtics. As the Sixers tried to turn their season around and Boston's great defense flattered, the panel argued over who's the best player on the Philadelphia's roster. An exasperated Bob Myers buried his head on the desk and blurted out that he had something actually interesting to say before getting swallowed up in a debate. Anyway. And the article then finally closes out by saying, because Lakers Warriors, the marquee game of the night, ended late and segued straight into the nightcap of Suns Nuggets, ESPN returned to the LeBron versus Stephen Curry bout at halftime in Phoenix. Another magical clash between the two legends went down the wire and ended with James proclaiming the NBA the kings of Christmas. Yet somehow ESPN's analysts of the game turned into a first take segment as Smith got distracted by the shiny object of Michael Jordan factoid and used valuable seconds to talk about the Hall of Famer who hasn't played in the NBA for 2 decades. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things. Quick wrinkle about that part with the LeBron James and all. ESPN brought up the stat. ESPN actually brought up the stat when they were talking about 30-point games that LeBron had in comparison to so ESPN brought it up. Okay, so they're the ones that brought up the idea. I don't know. You're talking about a player that hasn't played in decades. Why are you bringing him up? Right? Why are you bringing Michael Jordan up in a Christmas Day game, which he's not participating in? Look, what are my thoughts about this? We all know this, right? We all know this. This is the reason why I was flabbergasted by the comments that JJ Redick made when he was implying that inside the NBA, the reason for a declining product is like, do you watch? Of course. That's something that JJ Redick would say. Makes sense. It's befitting of him. Because Charles Barkley and these guys ain't up there twerking it up, just hollering and screaming and saying nice things and lying to viewers and making them feel like this is the best thing they've ever seen since sliced bread. A person like JJ Redick obviously couldn't vibe with that, right? He wants people up there to sit up there and lie to you and basically placate to the audience and tell them why the product is so great when in reality it's not. So I can understand why they're desperate to replace Malika Andrews and these guys with the inside the NBA crew. It makes 100%. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. right? It makes absolute sense to me because those guys are the best in the business. The best in the business. And I think ESPN won by being able to lure them over to their network. So this is what the article had to say. What do you think about the crew that ESPN has with Malik Andrews and these guys when they cover these halftime shows? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.